Title: My wife cheated, lied, gaslit me, and I still can't believe it actually happened. Posted on r/relationship_advice. Part 1. The cracks begin to show. Hey Reddit. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I'm 35M, my soon-to-be ex-wife is 33F. We've been together for 9 years, married for 6. No kids, but we were trying. Yeah, I know, makes this all the more twisted. From the outside, we looked solid. We had the house, the dog, the couple's game nights, matching Halloween costumes, all that Pinterest crap. She was my person. Or so I thought. About 6 months ago, things started to feel off. Nothing dramatic at first, just subtle stuff. She started spending a lot more time on her phone, like laugh at the screen then lock it when I walk in type of behavior. She claimed it was work. She's a project manager for a tech firm, so late-night messages weren't unusual. I wanted to believe her. She also suddenly got really into going to the gym. Which cool, I was happy she was focusing on herself. But the timing? Odd. She used to hate the gym. Suddenly it's 6 days a week, 2 hours a day, always at night. Never wanted me to join her. I need this for me time, she'd say, and somehow I felt guilty even questioning that. Our sex life changed too. She became distant. Like present but not really there. I chalked it up to stress. Maybe the pressure of trying for a baby. Maybe work. I didn't want to be the insecure guy. I kept telling myself, trust her. Don't be controlling. But I knew something wasn't right. That's when I started to feel it, that low-level hum of anxiety in my chest all day, every day. Like I was constantly waiting for something to happen. I wish I'd listened to that feeling sooner. Part 2. The first clue I couldn't ignore. So one night, maybe around 11 p.m., she's at the gym again. I was watching a movie alone, trying to distract myself, when her iPad pinged. Now, this iPad barely got used, it was synced with her iMessages, though, and I didn't even know that until that night. I wasn't trying to snoop, I swear. But when a message popped up with a heart emoji next to some dude's name, Matt Weinglass, and it said, I miss you already. Can't stop thinking about last night, face blowing a kiss. I froze. My stomach dropped so hard I actually felt nauseous. I just sat there staring at it. Couldn't believe it. For a second, I actually gaslit myself. I thought, maybe it's a cousin? A gay best friend. You know, that desperate mental gymnastics we do when we don't want the truth. Then more messages started coming in. Rapid fire. Flirty. Sexual. Way too familiar. Stuff like, you smell like heaven. Even after the gym face with tears of joy. Wish I was falling asleep next to you again tonight. Did he suspect anything today? Did he suspect anything today? That was the moment. That was the sentence that shattered everything. I remember I stood up so fast, I knocked my drink off the coffee table. I felt like my chest was caving in. I just kept reading. And the more I read, the worse it got. They had been seeing each other for at least 2 months. Probably more. There were references to a weekend in Asheville. She told me she was going to a girls' retreat. I sat on the floor in our living room at 11:30 p.m., with the dog curled up next to me, reading filthy texts between my wife and this dude who drinks wine and uses emojis like a teenager. And I couldn't decide whether I wanted to scream, puke, cry, or all three. Part 3. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep. Not even for a second. I just sat there in this foggy haze, reading through the messages over and over again like an idiot, like maybe if I read them enough times they'd change. Like maybe I misunderstood. Spoiler, I didn't. Around 1:45 a.m. I heard the garage door open. She was back from the gym. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't ready to confront her, I didn't even know what to say. My hands were shaking, my heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. But I couldn't pretend either. She came in all smiley, wearing leggings and a sports bra, hair in a ponytail, acting like everything was fine. Hey babe, she said, giving me a quick kiss on the head, then heading to the kitchen to grab a water. I didn't respond. I just watched her. She was humming. And then she looked over and froze. What's wrong? She asked, narrowing her eyes. I held up the iPad without a word. Her face changed immediately. It was like watching a mask fall off. She didn't even pretend not to know what I was talking about. She just stared at it, then back at me and said, you went through my stuff? Not, it's not what you think. Not, I can explain. Not even, I'm sorry. Just straight to accusing me of violating her privacy. I couldn't believe it. This woman, who I cooked for, cried with, traveled with, planned a future with, was standing in our kitchen looking at me like I was the villain. Are you serious right now? I said. That's what you're going with? She crossed her arms and said, I can't talk to you when you're like this. I swear to God I laughed. It was this ugly, bitter laugh that felt like it came from someone else's mouth. You've been cheating on me, lying to me, sneaking around behind my back, and you want me to calm down? I said. She shrugged. Like I had just accused her of leaving the milk out. I've never felt more like I was living in a completely different reality than the person in front of me. Part 4, the gaslighting Olympics begin. After that first confrontation I expected. I don't know, a breakdown? Guilt? Regret? Something human. Instead, she got cold. Like corporate cold. Like she'd slipped into some HR-approved crisis mode. She started saying things like, You're overreacting. Matt is just a friend, we joke around. It's not like I slept with him. Why are you invading my privacy like this? I feel unsafe when you yell. I wasn't yelling, I was stunned into near silence, trying to stay upright. I showed her the messages. The literal proof. Her response? Those are taken out of context. She actually said that. Like I was quoting some misleading interview, not reading entire conversations where she called this dude baby and talked about missing his body. Then, out of nowhere, she flipped into tears. Like full-on soap opera crying, the kind where it feels performative, like she's crying at you, not with you. I've just been so lost lately, she sobbed, dropping onto the couch like it was a stage cue. You've been distant. You work so much. I didn't mean for this to happen. I felt invisible. Invisible. That word hit me hard. Because I've been killing myself to make her feel seen. I plan date nights. I bring her coffee in bed. I always remember the anniversary of our first kiss like a damn fool. And then came the worst one. Maybe if you'd been more present, I wouldn't have looked elsewhere. Like this was my fault. Like I cheated on myself. At that point, I just shut down. I couldn't scream. I couldn't cry. I just sat there staring at her, wondering when she became this person. Or worse, had she always been this person? I told her to sleep in the guest room. She scoffed and said, wow, real mature, then stormed off like she was the victim. I didn't sleep again that night. Part 5. Digging for truth I wasn't ready for. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. Seriously. She made coffee. Asked if I wanted eggs. Told me I looked tired. No shit, Karen. I found out my wife's been getting railed by Matt Weinglass while pretending she's doing squats at Planet Fitness. Yeah, I'm a little tired. I didn't even respond. I just left. I needed air, space, clarity. All those dramatic words people use when they're trying not to break down in the cereal aisle at Target. That's when I started digging. And Reddit, I went full private investigator. I never thought I'd be that guy. But once the truth cracks open, you want to see everything. You want to know just how deep the rot goes. I remembered that she'd posted a few Instagram stories during that girl's trip to Asheville. I looked at them again. Just her and some trees. No friends tagged. No group pics. Just vague scenery shots and a glass of wine. I called her best friend, Sarah, who's always been a bit of an oversharer. Played it cool at first. Hey, how was the Asheville trip? Sounded fun. Her reply? What trip? Boom. I asked again, and she said she hadn't seen my wife in over 2 months. My heart was pounding so hard I had to sit down. So she didn't go on a girls' retreat last month? Sarah. Dude. I thought she was with you. That's when I knew. Whatever excuses she had left, whatever lies she was planning to keep telling, they were dead in the water. I went home and opened her laptop. Same Apple ID. Same iMessages. And let me tell you, that was Pandora's box. Messages, photos, hotel confirmations. Even Uber rides to his apartment labeled Gym. She literally named his address, Anytime Fitness, in her contacts. I couldn't make this up if I tried. I sat there just shaking, like my whole body was glitching. This wasn't just a one-time thing. It wasn't an emotional affair. She had a whole alternate life, and I'd been nothing but the idiot husband funding the Wi-Fi. Part 6. The second confrontation. No more Mr. Nice Guy. By the time she got home that evening, I was sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open, the iPad next to it, and a folder of printed messages and screenshots I'd made at Staples like some kind of courtroom drama. Petty? Maybe. But I needed her to see that I knew everything. She walked in all casual, keys jingling, sipping one of those overpriced green juices. I didn't say a word, just gestured for her to sit. She rolled her eyes, like I was inconveniencing her. You've got to be kidding me with this CSI crap, she muttered. I lost it. I didn't yell, but my voice was shaking from holding it in. You didn't go to Asheville. You weren't at the gym. You've been lying to my face for months, and I have every single receipt. I laid out the screenshots, the Uber trips, the hotel bookings, the photos. Her face? Stone cold. She didn't even flinch. Then she finally says, "Fine. You want the truth? Yes, I slept with him. More than once. I needed something you weren't giving me." There it was. No remorse. No guilt. Just blame. Again. What was I not giving you? I asked, barely keeping it together. Excitement, she said, like she was reading a line from a bad rom-com. You're a great guy, but you're predictable. You go to work, you come home, you fold the laundry. It's all so routine. You know what's funny? I was routine, because she said she wanted stability. She cried when her last boyfriend ghosted her. Told me I made her feel safe. So I gave her safety. I gave her peace. I gave her a home. And she set it on fire because it didn't thrill her. I asked if she loved him. She shrugged. It's not about love. It's just fun. I've never felt so disposable in my entire life. I told her to pack a bag and get out. She laughed. Actually laughed and said, "You're being dramatic. Let's just take a few days to cool off." I said, "No, we're done." Her face dropped for the first time, like she finally realized this wasn't just a fight. This was the end. And even then, she didn't apologize. She just muttered, "Wow, you're really gonna throw away our marriage over this?" That was the last straw. I said, "You threw it away. I'm just finally acknowledging it." She left, and I sat there in the wreckage of what used to be my life. Part 7, the loneliest weekend of my life. The first 24 hours after she left were the quietest and loudest hours I've ever lived. The silence in the house was suffocating. Every room felt haunted. Her shoes were still by the door. Her coffee mug still in the sink. Her damn lavender shampoo still in the shower. But it was also like the noise in my head wouldn't shut up. The constant rerunning of scenes, her lies, her shrugs, that line about me being too predictable. I kept thinking, how did I miss this? How long was I asleep at the wheel? Was any of it ever real? That Saturday, I sat in our backyard for 3 hours straight. Just sitting. Watching the dog dig up half the flower bed she used to obsess over. I didn't stop him. He could have set it on fire for all I cared. People started texting. A couple friends asking if I was okay. Her mom, of all people, asked if we had a fight because she seemed stressed on the phone. I didn't respond to any of them. I couldn't. I didn't cry though. Not yet. I just felt hollow. Like I was walking around inside a version of my life that had already ended but forgot to collapse. Then Sunday came. I woke up, made coffee out of habit, and for a full minute I poured a second mug before realizing she wasn't there. That's what cracked me. That stupid empty coffee cup. I sat on the kitchen floor and cried like a kid. Full body sobs. Ugly, raw, chest-heaving sobs. I hadn't cried like that in years. Not even when my dad died. I wasn't just mourning her. I was mourning the version of me who thought I was loved. Who thought I had a partner. Who believed in us. I realized I'd been in love with a story. A version of her that never really existed. And that hurts in a way I didn't know was possible. Part 8. The aftershocks keep hitting. That Monday, I called in sick to work. I couldn't concentrate, couldn't eat, couldn't even fake being okay. I told my boss I had the flu. In a way, I did. Emotional flu. Soul flu. Whatever you call it when your whole foundation rots out from under you overnight. Then the text started. From her. First it was, "We need to talk." Then, "I miss you." Then, "Can we at least be civil?" As if she hadn't detonated a nuclear bomb in the middle of our marriage. I ignored them. Then came the big one. It wasn't just sex. I got feelings involved and I freaked out. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was confused. Confused. I texted back one word. "Seriously?" She replied. "You don't understand what it's like to feel like a ghost in your own life." Matt made me feel alive again. I didn't respond after that. Couldn't. I wasn't going to be her therapist. Not after this. But the damage kept spreading. I found out from mutual friends that she'd already pre-spun the story, told people I'd been distant, that our marriage was basically over, that she'd found comfort in someone else during a rough patch. A rough patch I wasn't even aware of. So now I was the bad guy in this warped little soap opera she'd written. And here's the worst part. Some people bought it. Some friends got quiet. A few even sent vague, hope you're both doing okay messages, Switzerland types, trying not to pick sides. It made me feel isolated in a way I didn't expect. Betrayal is one thing, but being misunderstood on top of it, that's another kind of hell. I started keeping a note in my phone called Lies I Was Told. I don't know why. Maybe to remind myself I wasn't crazy. Maybe because when someone rewrites the narrative in real time, you start to doubt your own memory. Here's what I had so far. We're just friends. It was only once. It didn't mean anything. I didn't go to Asheville with him. You're overreacting. You pushed me into this. I needed to see those in writing, like physical evidence of my own reality. Because honestly, I was starting to lose track of what was real and what was just manipulation. Part 9, when anger finally showed up. Up until this point, I'd mostly been stuck in grief mode. Shock, sadness, betrayal. But somewhere around day 5, the sadness started to rot into something sharper. Anger. It started small. I was walking through the house and saw one of her yoga mats rolled up in the corner. The same one she used when she'd come home from her late-night workouts smelling like some dude's cologne and cucumber lotion. I grabbed it and threw it straight in the trash without a second thought. Then I started collecting everything that had her on it. Her clothes, her makeup bag, her stupid motivational sticky notes she used to leave on the fridge like, breathe today. Smile today. Yeah. No thanks. Boxed it all up. Every last item. Then I emailed her. Your stuff is on the porch. You have 48 hours to get it before it goes in the dumpster. She replied within 3 minutes. Seriously? After everything we've been through? This is how you treat me? I didn't even respond. Because yes, this is how I treat a liar. A cheater. A woman who took our marriage vows and used them like toilet paper during her weekend getaways with Matt Weinglass. Later that day, I drove past the hotel she'd stayed at. I'd seen it on the Uber receipts. I don't even know why I went. Morbid curiosity? Pain tourism? I parked across the street and just stared at it. And then I did something completely out of character. I screamed in my car. Like full volume, primal scream. It surprised even me. My throat hurt after. But it felt necessary. Like I'd been clenching my entire soul and finally let it crack open. I realized in that moment that I wasn't just angry at her. I was furious with myself too. For not seeing it. For trusting too easily. For brushing off red flags because I loved her and wanted us to work. And that realization? It was like finally taking a breath after drowning in my own silence. The anger didn't feel good. But it felt honest. Part 10, the moment I knew I wasn't going back. That night she showed up. No warning. No text. Just knocked on the door like nothing had happened. I opened it because I thought maybe it was the delivery I'd been waiting on. But nope, there she was, standing there like a scene from a rom-com gone horribly wrong. She had no makeup on. Hoodie. Hair tied up. Looked human. Sad. I almost felt something. Almost. She said, "Can we talk?" And I didn't say anything, just stepped outside and shut the door behind me. I wasn't letting her into my house again. Not after what she brought in last time. We stood there in the dark, her arms folded, eyes glossy. And then she did the thing I'd been dreading and expecting all at once. "I made a huge mistake," she said. "I was stupid. I was selfish. I miss you so much it hurts." I stayed quiet. Not out of cruelty, but because I needed to hear the whole song and dance before I shut the curtain. She kept going. Apologized. Said she ended things with Matt. Said it wasn't real. Said she got caught up in the attention and how it felt to be wanted. And then the kicker. "Can we try again? Please. I'll do anything." Now, 3 weeks ago, I probably would have cracked. The version of me who still believed she was just confused might have taken that bait. But that version of me was gone. I looked at her, really looked at her, and all I could think was, you don't get to break something and ask the person bleeding to fix it. I said no. We're not trying again. You didn't trip and fall into someone else's bed. You built a whole alternate life. You lied, gaslit, and disrespected me. That's not confusion. That's character. She started crying, full tears, mascara streaking even though she wasn't wearing any. "Please," she said. "I'm begging you." I shook my head. "You begged him to book a room with a jacuzzi. Remember that? That shut her up. And that was it. The final nail. I walked back inside, shut the door, and locked it. I heard her sob once, then footsteps. Then silence. I leaned against the door, eyes closed, heart pounding. But not because I was sad. Because for the first time in weeks, I felt like I had myself back. Part 11. The fallout hits everyone differently. After that night, it was like the air in the house shifted. Still heavy, but different, like I'd finally opened a window. The ghost of her was still in every room, sure, but now it felt like she didn't own them anymore. She tried to reach out again. Of course she did. Texts. Emails. One weird-ass handwritten letter folded into a sorry card with a cartoon pug on the front that said, "I really messed up." I didn't reply. I was done giving her an audience for her performance. Then came the friends. Or should I say friends? Some reached out with genuine support, I'll never forget that. My buddy Josh showed up with whiskey and burritos and said, "You're gonna hate this month, but you'll love yourself on the other side of it." But then there were the people who suddenly wanted to play mediator. People who hadn't called in years now wanted to help us talk it out. One of them, a mutual friend named Lena, actually said, "I mean, nobody's perfect. Don't throw away all that history over one mistake." One mistake. I asked her, would you call it one mistake if your partner repeatedly lied to you, slept with someone else, emotionally abandoned you, then blamed you for it? She paused. Well, when you put it like that. Yeah. When you put it like reality. It was eye-opening, honestly, how many people are uncomfortable with someone ending something even when it's for the right reason. They treat infidelity like a pothole you should just drive over if the view ahead looks nice. But I wasn't going to keep bleeding for the comfort of people who never had to live in my house, in my silence, in my disbelief. And the biggest shock? Her mom called me. To apologize. She said I didn't raise her to treat anyone like this. You were good to her. I'm so sorry. I didn't even know what to say to that. But it meant something. It really did. Maybe because it was the first time someone connected to her acknowledged what she did without deflecting, excusing, or sugarcoating. And that helped me start seeing the difference between the people who really saw me and the ones who just liked the idea of us. Part 12. When the dust starts to settle. It's wild how fast life can shift. 2 weeks ago, I was checking her location on Find My iPhone, wondering if she was really at the gym. Now I'm researching divorce lawyers and learning what equitable distribution means. The crazy part? It doesn't hurt as much anymore. Don't get me wrong, the pain's still there. It pops up at weird times. Like when I hear a song we used to dance to in the kitchen, or when I pass that Thai place she loved and realize I never actually liked it, I just liked her. But the crushing chest-collapsing heartbreak? It's starting to fade. And in its place, there's this quiet clarity. I've started sleeping again. Eating like a normal person. I even went to the gym, a real gym, not a Wine and Whispers hotel lobby with Matt. I'm journaling. Therapy's on the calendar. Hell, I picked up my guitar for the first time in 6 months. It felt rusty but real, like finding an old part of myself I'd forgotten existed. And here's something I didn't expect. I'm laughing again. Like actual belly laughing. Josh and I went out for beers the other night and he told this completely inappropriate story about him trying to flirt with a bartender who turned out to be engaged to a woman, and I laughed so hard I nearly choked on a peanut. That laugh felt like medicine. Like proof I hadn't completely lost myself. I started posting a bit on my personal socials again too, just dumb memes, dog pics, sunsets. But every time I hit share, it feels like I'm planting a flag. Like saying I'm still here. Still me. Still moving forward. She hasn't given up, by the way. More texts. A random voicemail where she's just checking in and hopes maybe we can grab coffee someday. I didn't respond. I won't. That chapter's closed. She had a great man, a real future, and a marriage built on love, and she lit it on fire for cheap thrills and half-truths. And you know what? Let her sit in the ashes. Part 13. The divorce conversation. A week after she left that pathetic pug apology card on my porch, I got a formal message from her lawyer. It was polite, sterile, and full of legalese. My client wishes to proceed with a no-fault divorce. Assets to be divided equitably. No children involved. Mediation optional. I stared at it for a long time. It felt like someone was handing me a piece of paper confirming the death of something I'd already buried emotionally. I called my own lawyer, a friend of a friend, sharp guy, doesn't sugarcoat. He looked at everything and said, "This is clean." Honestly? Given what she did, you're getting out lucky. He was right. No kids. No shared businesses. No mountains of debt. Just the house, some joint savings, and the echo of what used to be. I decided not to contest anything. I didn't want her money, didn't want revenge, didn't want to drag it out. I just wanted out. Clean. Simple. Done. We had one final legal meeting over Zoom, of all things. She was in a cardigan, hair down, acting like she was negotiating a cell phone contract instead of dissolving a marriage. When the mediator asked if there was anything either of us wanted to say, I almost stayed silent. But then I looked at her, really looked, and said, I hope one day you realize what you threw away. And I hope whoever's next never gets the version of you that I had to endure in the end. She blinked. Didn't say anything. Just nodded slightly. Probably rehearsed. And that was it. Papers signed. Marriage over. 9 years together ended in 15 minutes with a DocuSign link and a lawyer nodding into a webcam. I thought I'd feel devastated. But honestly, I felt free. Like I'd been carrying a suitcase full of bricks for months and someone finally said, hey man, you can put that down now. And so I did. Part 14, moving on and meaning it. So that was it. Divorce finalized. Name wiped off the joint bank account. Ring off my finger. Photos off the walls. Her contact? Deleted. Blocked. It's wild how fast you can remove a person from your life when you finally want to. And no, I haven't heard from her since. I think she finally got the message. Or maybe Matt Weinglass moved on and now she's got bigger problems to cry about. Not my circus anymore. Since then, things have started to feel real again. My house now feels lighter. I've repainted 2 rooms, replaced the couch, got rid of the wine glasses she insisted on buying even though she only ever drank with him, apparently. I've started seeing friends more. Real ones. The ones who never made excuses for her, who didn't try to both sides, the betrayal. They kept showing up even when I didn't want company, even when I was just a zombie staring at the TV. One of them, Claire, an old college friend, actually helped me hang shelves last weekend. We had beers, we laughed, we talked about dumb stuff like dogs and bad Tinder bios. And for the first time, I caught myself smiling without having to try. No, nothing romantic. Not yet. I'm not ready for that, and I'm not going to use someone else's emotional duct tape. But it reminded me that life goes on. That good people still exist. That not everyone lies with a smile on their face and a body in someone else's bed. And I started doing things for me again. I read more. I cook real meals. I go on walks just to clear my head. I make music again, sad songs, sure, but they're mine. And they're honest. It doesn't fix everything. I still have bad nights. Still wake up some mornings with that ache in my chest, forgetting for a second that everything fell apart. But then I remember. Everything didn't fall apart. She did. I just stopped pretending the pieces still fit. Part 15, what I learned and what I'd tell you if you're going through it. If you made it this far, first of all, thanks. Writing this out has been part therapy, part purging. Honestly, I never thought I'd be the guy pouring his broken heart onto Reddit, but here we are. Life's full of plot twists. So here's where I leave it. If you're reading this and you're in a relationship that suddenly feels strange, heavy, off, trust your gut. I ignored mine for too long. I wanted to believe in her more than I wanted to believe in myself. And that's how I ended up sitting on a cold kitchen floor with an iPad full of betrayal in my lap. Cheating isn't just about sex. It's about lies. It's about cowardice. It's about someone looking you in the eye every day and choosing comfort over honesty. And when it happens, it hits you in waves: shock, pain, grief, rage, and finally, if you keep walking through it, clarity. I learned that someone lying to you is not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their character. I learned that love isn't supposed to confuse you or make you feel like you're asking too much for the bare minimum. I learned that loyalty isn't sexy to everyone, but it should be. And I learned that the scariest part of walking away is also the most empowering, realizing you deserve more and being brave enough to wait for it. Am I okay now? Not 100%. But I'm getting there. Every day, a little more. And honestly, I like the man I'm becoming. The one who chose dignity over revenge, healing over bitterness, and peace over begging for crumbs. So if you're in the thick of it, let me tell you this. You'll survive. It'll hurt. It'll break you. But then you'll rebuild. And the version of you on the other side? They'll thank you for not settling for someone who saw your heart as optional. Stay strong, strangers. And if you ever catch yourself questioning your worth because of someone else's betrayal, reread this post, pour yourself a drink, and remember. You don't lose someone who cheats. They lose someone who would have never done the same. Opie out. Tumblr Glass broke a heart.